Hello and welcome to this edition of Social Security Today. I'm your host, Jeffrey Rodriguez, the Social Security Public Affairs Specialist for Orange County. And today we are kicking off in March. And March for me has a lot of meaning because I'm a basketball fan, and specifically college basketball. So it may seem a little odd, but I'm going to kind of start and talk a little bit about this March Madness. See, way back in 1939, the NCAA started out with this tournament where they try to determine who the best is as far as college teams out there in basketball. Well, looking at that and through that whole history of it, which is just fantastic. If you love basketball, you know this season. But specifically, as the teams get closer to March, they seem to fine-tune everything. They seem to really plan and get everything set up. Coaches are a little more articulate in the locker room. They're really priming and pushing their players. And that's what I want to touch on, and that's what I want to connect over to Social Security. I mean, if you're going to watch the games, I don't know who you're rooting for. Kentucky's looking just strong. And this isn't a sports show, so I won't go too deep into it. But Duke's always been my favorite. Coach K, fantastic coach. But let's jump back into Social Security because I can talk about basketball all day long. So when we look at planning, and really, as I said, coaches are planning and the teams are preparing and they have their whole staff looking at that, Social Security is no different for you. Really, what you need to be doing is truly planning for your retirement. It isn't something that you can just roll into. It isn't something that you can just kind of jump into it one day and say, wow, I'm here. What do I do now? It really should be taking place from way back when as you grow through time. And I'm going to tell you how you can plan and be truly ready, not so much for March Madness if you're picking your brackets and looking at the Final Four, but more so, how do you get ready for retirement? And as I've said before, I always open up, and this is how I'm tying it into, my Social Security account. If you have not set up a My Social Security account, you're really harming yourself. I mean, I can't even explain how much you're going to be harming yourself if you haven't gone on and set up an account and then take a look at some of those very important parts of that, of having that account. So if we take a look at I'll show you the March Madness. If you didn't see it there, the graphic, it kind of gets my blood stirring. But if we can jump up to that graphic there, the My Social Security account, if you look and you go into our website, at www.socialsecurity.gov/my account, that's where you're going to be able to set up your My account or My Social Security account. And once you do so, really what you need to do is you need to jump in, and from that point, once you set it up and you're all good and your password's set and you're on there, you're going to be able to keep track of your earnings record each year. You're going to be able to take a look at the estimate of your benefits. You'll be able to use a calculator that's going to be able to determine your exact, not a general amount, not for someone else, but for you. You'll be able to determine what is your benefits at different ages, and you can use those estimators, those calculators, using your account information, so it'll give you the specific information that you need. Again, we're talking about planning, just like the March Madness and all those teams, and as they get ready for the big dance, as they call it, you need to do the same thing. As you're leading up, I said you'll be able to see your earnings record. Well, the earnings record is one of the key things because that's how we're going to determine your benefit. We're going to take 35 years, not like the private pensions that maybe the last 3 or 5 years, we're looking at your highest 35 years of payment that you've paid into your salary throughout those highest 35. Not only that, you'll be able to manage your benefits if you're already receiving benefits such as keeping your address correct, if you have to change your direct deposit, all these things that you'll be able to do by setting up a My Social Security account. It's very easy. All you have to do is go to our home page, and if you take a look at that graphic there, on the home page, right on the bottom left side, it'll say My Social Security. And you just, right where that green box is, right on the bottom part of our homepage, you click right there, and it's going to jump you right in. It's going to take you through and walk you through how you set up your account and get that active. Now, using some of the basketball terminology, depending on what you want to do in order to stay ahead of the game, and whether you're going to get that full court press on or you're going to jump back into a zone, a 2-3, a 1-3-1. Again, sorry for the basketball analogies, I can't help myself. But whatever you're going to be doing, what you need to do is set up that Social Security, or my Social Security account. Again, you're going to be able to jump in and handle and manage all of your information. And just like the teams that are planning and hoping to have a successful tournament, I want you to have a successful retirement. I want you to be able to be in control, know exactly where you're going, know what to expect, how much you're getting from Social Security, so you can plan other types of income into your retirement so that you can live comfortably. And that's the key, living comfortably in your retirement. Can't get there unless you plan. Just like the teams can't win unless they plan, you cannot win at retirement unless you're planning. One of the things I think I mentioned the last time that we were together, but I just want to make sure that it's real clear, because now that we're in March, coming up on the 16th of March, our office is expanding its times. And if we take a look at that, I just want to remind you that we're going to be open an additional hour as far as our offices. So the offices will be open to the public for an additional hour on Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays, effective March 16th. We're going to be open from 9 to 4. Wednesdays will remain the same. Let me read this, and I normally don't read too much, but I want to read this just so it's real clear. Social Security announces, as a result of Congress's approval of the fiscal year budget 2015, the agency will expand its hours nationwide in all of our offices and will be open to the public for one additional hour on Monday, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, effective March 16th, what we just looked at. And the field office is usually, or that field office that usually is open from 9 to 3 will now remain open until 4 o'clock, so from 9 to 4. But as I said before, offices will continue. Listen to this, because this is key. The other days are fine, but offices will continue to close to the public at noon on Wednesdays so that employees have time to complete their current work and reduce the backlogs. So we will effectively have administrative days from noon on Wednesdays where we're working on your claims and your cases, and all the other days will remain open from 9 to 4. So if you have business to do, if you're not able to set an appointment, then you're going to want to come in either on that Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, or Friday, especially if you need that afternoon time, or it's something that might be a little complex and you know is going to last a little longer. Wednesday would probably be best if you have something real quick, what we call enumeration, just coming in to get a replacement card or something real quick to change that for some reason that you need to come into the office. Other than that, the other days would be probably more appropriate, would be, in my estimation, the best way to handle using office hours and if you need to come in. Now, March 6th, and I'm always, I think it's interesting how they have these days that no one has ever heard of or that, but we bring them to light and we use them to our best ability here to kind of drive home an idea, and that is that on March 6th, Americans, or throughout the U.S., we recognize Middle Name Pride Day. Middle Name Pride Day. My name is Jeffrey Rodriguez. My middle name is Craig. So Jeffrey Craig Rodriguez. A lot of times I just use the C, the initial. But on March 6th, I'm going to be proud of my middle name, and I'll be throwing it out there for everyone to see. And our middle name, as in the name Social Security Administration, our middle name Security, we want to live up to that name. And security, as you see the definition there, the state of being free from danger or threat. Now, Social Security has a zero, look at that, a zero tolerance for fraud. And those who try to cheat the system will find that out. We have zero tolerance for fraud. Security is our middle name. We want you to be free from any danger or threat. That's our promise to you. That's what we are constantly working on, whether it's the information, your own private information that we're protecting, whether it's your account, whatever it is. And that's why if you've ever called into Social Security, we're going to ask you a few questions to identify yourself over the phone. If you come into our offices, you have to have valid ID. You can't have just kind of some type of Cracker Jacks written down and write your name on a paper. We need valid ID. We want to make sure that when you're trying to take any actions or request any information, that we're talking to you. And that's what we're doing. Security is our middle name. So as the American public celebrates on March 6th the Middle Name Pride Day, we're celebrating that we are Social Security Administration. And so because we have that zero tolerance for fraud, let me go a little further into that, because really what happens, and you may not see it, it's truly behind the scenes. When someone reports fraud or a potential fraud situation, or one of the workers, we identify something that just doesn't seem correct, or we, through an interview, through something of that nature, we start to identify some potential fraud issues. What we do is we make a referral to the Inspector General, to the Office of the Inspector General, and then one of those agents will take a look at it and develop if there truly is that fraud. So, there is an important message that I want to share from you, and this comes from our acting commissioner, Carolyn Colvin. And what she said, and you can look at that slide there, it says this important message: we will find you, we will prosecute you, we will seek the maximum punishment allowable under the law, and we will fight to restore to the American public the money that you've stolen. What we're saying is our agency is committed in order to protect your benefits. We don't want people to be coming in and stealing money that should be going to you, that should be going to our beneficiaries. And those that have paid into the system are trusting that we at Social Security are making sure that those benefits are secure, so that when you need them and when you desire to take them, that they're there for you. And this is one of the things that we work on heavily, as I said, and we take very seriously, is fraud. And so when we look at 1/5 of the population right now in America, all those that, whether they're retirees, whether they're receiving benefits because of disability, whether they're children of persons, whether they're receiving benefits and their children are now eligible, wounded warrior, we have warriors that have come back, soldiers that have come back and are receiving benefits. All these different people that are receiving benefits tend to be those that are vulnerable to some type of fraud. And what we want to do is make sure that we're securing and making sure that they're safe as far as your benefits. And what we found is that for every dollar that we invest into to fight against or to combat against fraud, we're able to recover $1.55 that has been stolen from those benefits. So when we put our money to work, we're getting back. And that's why we use the Office of Inspector General. That's why we, within Social Security, the representatives, we're trying to identify situations. We have different matrix in our system that will alert us to potential fraud so that we can follow up on these. Now, if you, by any chance, come across or you see something that just doesn't seem right and you would like to report fraud, and we trust that if you're seeing it, that you're able to help us, and we would enlist that help. If you see that there's fraud, please go to our fraud, whether it's online, and you go to the internet there at oig.ssa.gov/report, or you're calling the fraud hotline at 1-800-269-0271. If you could help us, that is fantastic. If it's truly something that you have identified that is fraud and you want to report it, those would be the two methods that you could use in order to report that. Obviously, those would be the fraud hotline type of referrals. You also can give our office a call and share that information, and we'll take it from there. You can do so anonymously. You don't have to be included in it. We just need to know that information so that we can go after any fraud that's being committed against Social Security, against its beneficiaries. So if you suspect, use that information that was given to you there, and we'd appreciate your help. We really rely on the American public to also help us. This is our benefits. This is Social Security for all of us. And so you can do your part in helping identify that. We can't identify everything, but with your help, we'll be able to stop some of those larger scams and frauds that are going on. If you feel that you've been a victim to a scam, call it. Let us know so that we can start to compile and take a look at where are these coming from, what type of telephone scams are going on, what type of scenarios are happening, whether they're through the mail or someone's coming to your house. We would never come unannounced. And not only that, we would have proper identification. Even if someone has a badge, I wouldn't trust them. If you haven't been notified that we're coming out, do not give them any information and report it to the police right away as well as to us. Now we're entering also March. A lot of us are in those final stages of getting ready for tax season. Just like in baseball, another sports analogy here, and just like in baseball, as they're in spring training, and if you miss the first game opening March 1st, we're officially into spring training for baseball, Americans' pastime. Well, when you take a look at spring, really, March 20th, hitting us off, tax season we know is right around the corner. Once you see baseball happening, or if you see, for me, March Madness, you know tax season is around the corner. Now, not too many of us get really pumped up and really just excited about taxes, but just like we were talking about with retirement, that you need to be prepared, that you need to get ready, that you need to put everything in order, tax is no different. If you're with tax season coming up, you need to make sure everything is in order so that when you go to complete your taxes, you have all the information you need, that you're required in order to file correctly. So I want to share some of that information. And if we use the baseball definitions or terms, looking at April 15th being the tax deadline, in order at least to get to first base, we would say that there's some things that you need to do. If for any reason you've changed your name, let's say that marriage or divorce or for any other reason you legally changed your name, and your employer has that new name and they changed it over and everything looks good because they're paying your FICA, they're paying your taxes using that number, or rather that new name, what could happen is that since if you haven't come into Social Security to give us the information to change to that new legal name, there will be a misconnection between IRS when they run their reports and they try to match it up against Social Security. It'll come back that it doesn't connect and it'll cause an error. So in order to really get at least to first base in tax season is, if for any reason you've had a name change, legal, marriage, as we said, any of those things, you need to come into the office, bring the proper identification as well as the valid reason that your name has been changed. Whether it's marriage, then bring in the marriage certificate. It's divorce, then bring in the decree that shows that the judge said what name you can go to. If it's a legal name change, bring in those documents that show, that are valid documents that we'll accept why the name has been changed, and we'll gladly make sure that everything is matching so that you have no hiccups when you go to pay your taxes. If not, when you go to do your taxes, it will mismatch and you won't be allowed to complete your action, which could cause some penalties on your side. If you want to get to second base, then what we're saying is make sure you have your children's Social Security numbers. Now, we know we all like those. I still have a couple dependents at home, and we like to have that credit with our children on there, but you need to make sure you have their numbers and that it's correct. If you haven't for some reason applied for a number, maybe you have a newborn or for whatever reason, they need to make sure that those numbers are correct. Come on in and bring the proper documentation again, and we'll get you those numbers. If you misplaced them, don't have them, and you need them, come on in and we'll get that corrected for you. Now, going further into third base when you're doing your taxes, you need to find out whether you really need to pay federal taxes or not. And this is a question that a lot of times comes up, and people ask me, do I have to pay taxes on what I receive from Social Security? Well, it's one of those yes and no types of answers. Yes, in that everybody needs to understand that we pay taxes, but it really depends on the total income. Because I could say that your Social Security benefit, that what you're receiving may not go over, because if you're single, when we look at taxes, if you're under the $25,000 threshold and you're single or are reporting it single, paying taxes on a single entry as an individual, you're not going to have any taxes to pay. If you're filing as a couple, then $32,000 is the limit. So if your Social Security doesn't put you over that, or your only income for that year is going to be Social Security, then maybe you don't have to. If not, then you're going to have to use the combined income from other sources and that. And so in order to make sure that you're, to bring a home run or a run across the plate using those analogies, then you need to make sure that from Social Security that you have your 1099. Now at the start I talked about having and creating a My Social Security account. If you have a My Social Security account and you haven't received your 1099, or you misplaced your 1099, or you used and gave away the original, now you don't have one or it hasn't come back, what you can do with a My Social Security account is go on and you can reprint your 1099 right there. No problems. Reprint it, have it ready. That'll ensure that you're truly set and ready to go and score that run and get your taxes corrected, done, and no problems. If you're in small business and you want to hit a total grand slam, just hit it out of the park type deal, then you should consider electronic filing. It is one of the options that you can do by going through our website in order to file for your small business taxes. So whether you're doing that or any of the other above, I would strongly suggest, as tax season's coming up rather quick, February is already gone. We're now in March. That quick, we've already gone through 2 months this year, 2015. We're already in the third month. And as before, everything else, March is going to fly through. It's windy out there. Maybe it'll just blow through, and we'll be in April before you know it. And maybe you've been procrastinating and haven't filed your taxes. Well, that's when you want to do that. So I have a couple questions, and I kind of went over them a little bit with what I just went through on the tax season, but I want to ask these questions and use these as kind of the question and answer session of what we're looking at today. So the first question we have there on taxes is, if I'm gathering everything I'll need to file my taxes this month, do I have to pay tax on Social Security? And also, where can I get a replacement 1099? Well, this is just to really drive it home. So if you didn't hear me the last time, I'm going to restate it so that it's real clear, because this may be in your situation. Some people who get Social Security must pay their income taxes on their benefits. Again, it depends on how much that you made. If you're under that $25,000 filing as a single, you won't need to. If your total combined income as a couple is less than $32,000, you really don't need to worry about it. But if you need that 1099 reprinted, then by setting up the My Social Security account, you can go right into that, to your account, and obtain and reprint that 1099 if you don't have it. So the tax, as far as the tax information, if you want to read about tax preparation in relation to Social Security Act, if you wanted that legal information, you can go to our website at socialsecurity.gov/planners/taxes.htm. And you can see that there. If we go to that next slide, you'll see it on the SSA tax information. That would be the website that you could go to in order to, if you wanted more information on the legality of taxes. So use that website if that's something that would be in your interest and you wanted more information about it in relation to the Social Security Act. Again, socialsecurity.gov/planners/taxes.htm. Now, another question that I'd like to deal with is on Medicare. Now, Medicare isn't just during the open enrollment when you need to change things. It isn't just during January through March if you haven't filed and you need a general enrollment, or your initial enrollment period, or special enrollment period if you're working and now already you stopped working and won't have coverage through your employer and want to start Medicare. Really what it is, it's continual. If you have Medicare, you're using it for all your medical needs, whether you have an Advantage plan, a supplement, or just the straight traditional Medicare Part A and B and possibly D thrown in. But the question I have today is, I recently retired. At what age can I start receiving Medicare? And what is the monthly premium for Medicare Part B? These are questions that I hear often. People during presentations, when I'm out in the public, there's always this confusion because we've integrated some changes with retirement. The earliest point at which you can receive benefits is at age 62. Your full retirement age is now on a sliding scale. Depending on when you were born, it could be 66 or integrated all the way up to 67. Anyone who was born after 1960 would be at age 67. So now they get kind of confused. Medicare remains at age 65. So look at the answer here. If you're wondering at what age you can receive Medicare, the earliest age is age 65, in which you can file for Medicare under normal circumstances, meaning you don't have coverage and you need Medicare. 65 would be that normal. Disability throws in a different thing. After 24 months of receiving disability, you could file for Medicare, but the normal circumstance is at age 65. How much does that cost? The standard Medicare Part B premium currently, right now, for medical insurance is $104.90 per month. Now, if you have any other questions in regards to Medicare, there's really two things you can do. You can either go onto the Social Security website and take a look under the Medicare tab and then start to look at some of that information that we have there. Or you can go on to the Medicare.gov website, and there's a lot of other information specific to Medicare that you could be looking at in which to get to whatever it is that you need. Now, if you really need help with something specific on Medicare, it may be more appropriate for you to call Medicare at 1-800-MEDICARE. So determine whether it's a Social Security premium issue or whether you're looking at Medicare and you need information. So I thank you for joining this edition of Social Security Today. It's all we have time for, but I look forward to the next time, and I wish that you have just a wonderful day, a wonderful March, and until our next time, be safe, be thoughtful. God bless America, and especially Laguna Woods Village. Thank you.